السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي اشدد به أزري وأشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعائي. رب لا تذرني فردا وأنت خير الوارثين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وارنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. ربنا اغفر لنا وارحمنا وأنت خير الراحمين آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين. We have been studying the story of Sulaiman in the Quran, and we studied up to the verse 32 and 3, I think. Let me sorry. No, we didn't really study. Yes, I was suspicious about it. We didn't really study the verse 30 and 31. So, okay, let's start with the 29. Just read the translation. The Queen of Sheba said, counselors, her counselors, she's speaking to her counselors. Oh no, a noble letter has been delivered to me. So a Kareem, noble letter. Look, not a letter of threat, but noble letter has been delivered to me. How do we know that? Because the letter, it is from Solomon, and it is in the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Now they are surprised. It is from, if you like, seemingly in their eyes, a king of another institution or state establishment, but it is a noble letter. It starts with the name of God, compassionate and merciful. Not really any threatening, warning qualities of God are mentioned here. It attracts our attention because we will have some sort of problems with some of the following verses, which puzzle the scholars in general. Not all of them, but most of them. That's why Solomon is known as a king in the Muslim world. In general, the king prophet, but a king prophet. So the letter says, don't put yourselves above me and come to me in submission to God. Because Muslimin is, in the context of the Quran, understood submission as submission to God. So don't put yourself above me. It means we understand that I am calling you to submit yourself to God as I am, don't put yourself above me. Of course, depending on who understands what. Some people, of course, those people who are aware of who Suleiman was are aware that he was an administrator, but a prophet administrator. He had a mission, not really using the administration as a source of power to impose on other people. But those who didn't know him really, they thought they knew us, could think that he was a message bearer, calling people to God. They didn't know. And maybe there may be using, we will understand from the other verses that they are using their own worldview, their own criterion to know what power means. Although Solomon's power was the power of his message, but in the eye of other people, those people who are not familiar with the message of God, even God, so for them, he is a man of power. That is what the interpretation of the event will change according to the stand of the people. That's why nowadays, those people who study Islam, they study Islam from political perspective as a competition about the influence of their political worldview and political arena. And some people take it as a military power. Some people take it as a power struggle, really, in economical terms, or nowadays, the superiority of the technology each civilization uses for their own purposes in order to have a prosperous life for themselves only, and at the expense of others. That is why we understand that nowadays, those people who don't know what Islam really is, they study the religion of Islam. Nowadays, we are talking about nowadays, which is the purpose of our class, to bring the matter to our own daily life and try to apply it for ourselves to benefit from it in practical terms. What they do, they study Islam and see how the Prophet Muhammad, they don't say Prophet Muhammad, they say Muhammad, influenced people in order to gain power, to establish an empire, to rule the country, and be the leader, the most influential power in the world. That's why they look at the matter from material point of view. We have to watch out. When they read the Quran, they say, okay, while Muhammad was writing these, what he had in his mind in order to convince people to follow him so that he will gain power. That is egoistic ambition, because they have this worldview. They think that everyone else must have the same worldview, same purpose. They never given any chance to the possibility that some people are really trying to spread the truth so the other people will benefit from it, will enjoy it in their life. So make their life more meaningful. Because they don't have this idea, they understand prosperity in terms of material, financial power, or military power. That's what they are. That's how they are viewing the world. That is why they look at the Quran, look at the life of the Prophet, try to see that how he established the power in the world in order to satisfy his egoistic desires so that he will have a prosperous life. Of course, what disappoints them, the Prophet, they have no clue or any reason, any sign in the life of the Prophet that he established at the end of his life, towards the end of his life, he established quite a powerful administration at that time, challenged the whole neighboring area, even soon after challenged the big empires of that time, Persian empires, Pars empires, and Roman empires. But in the life of the Prophet, he never changed his life. They were so surprised. Some of them, I remember reading this, he was pretending to be not self-centric person, so that the people will follow him until he dies. What benefit is he going to get out of this conviction, convincing the people to be a very modest man, pretending to be? At the end, he is not going to benefit. He is not going to benefit from any of them. He didn't. That surprises them. Some of them turns out to be, he is a moralist, good person, but what he did was just for his own spiritual satisfaction rather than benefiting the people. These, because they can make sense of it only that much. That is why we have to understand that the counselors of the Queen of Sheba will respond or give their considerations about this letter in terms of power, because they think of only their power. Now, let's make sure what it means. Don't put yourself above me and come to me in submission to God. It means submit yourself to God. Of course, he's a man. As a prophet, he wouldn't say submit yourself to me, but they might have understood submit yourself to me, enslave yourself to me. They might have, but the message will be clear at the end. It is nothing to do with the power of Solomon himself. We will, everything in the text of the Quran will be explained clearly. So, I quoted this from chapter 44, verse 19. Don't consider yourself to be above God. That's what Sulaiman says. Don't consider yourself to be above God, above God. Not don't consider yourself to be above me, my power, my army. No. I come to you with clear authority. Again, the word is authority in the original, the language of the Quran, sultanin mubin, bisultanin mubin. So what does it mean? According to authority, the word authority, sultan, in the context of the Quran. For example, this word is used here for the Prophet Sulaiman, and another word for Satan, sultan. So, but in terms of the description of Satan's power, authority, Quran says he has no authority over you. It means, again, he has no plausible, acceptable evidence in order to confirm his whisperations to you, whispering to you. All what Satan whispers to you in terms of ideologies or alternatives of understanding, thinking, has no authority. If you think about it, it is totally baseless. But when the word is used for the prophets, his authority is clear. Sultan Mubin. It means as soon as you hear it, if you are not biased, you will directly understand that, confirm it. That's what Quran says. I am clear evidence to you. I am clear sign to you. All my language is clear to you. It means you can easily understand and confirm the truthfulness of what I say. So the prophets are calling people not to consider themselves above God. It means the creator of the universe, because no one can create or arrange this universe. That is obvious, but even no one can create any single being, any single thing in the world. In this universe. So how can you say that I am superior than the creator of the universe who gave existence to it? So that is what this verse 44:19 explains, that Sulaiman was really inviting the Queen of Sheba, or the people of Sheba, therefore, as a result, to come to me in submission, not to my power, impossible, to God. What I am calling you to, I'm calling you to submit yourself to God. So my authority comes from my calling, my presentation of the message to you. So the argument between the people of the followers of Sulaiman and also those people who are not aware of the message of the Prophet Sulaiman, they will look at the case from their perspective. That's why we have to be very careful not to look at the Prophet Sulaiman as a worldly king, but with the duty of prophethood. But worldly king, no. He is the king of the truth, if you like. But any prophet, we discussed this a lot, represents one aspect of human life. And it is an example for us in order to arrange and adjust our life according to the guidance of the Quran. So some of them are shepherds, some of them are orphans, some of them are businessmen, some of them are intellectuals, Some of them are like Jesus, really a good intellectual person in the eye of the rabbis of his community, because he was sent to a believing community who spoiled and corrupted the message. He wanted to reorient it, or he was appointed to reorient the message of God to its original form. So he has to be an intellectual person. So God prepared him, educated him. Anyways, some of them are just community leaders, all sorts of positions we see that presented in the lives of the prophets in the Quran. So Suleiman and Dawood, are the representative of the people, or the representative of our life from administrative perspective, responsibility. What is the responsibility? You don't have to be a president of a state or a king of a country. No, you don't have to be an, I don't know, the CEO of a big company. No. You can be a father, you can be a mother, or even you can be the elder sibling in the family in order to take care of your younger brothers and sisters. So this is a kind of authority for you. You have to learn that from this story of Solomon. I have to call my younger siblings to God, not to submit me. Even I say submit me because I'm calling you to God, not that I'm going to satisfy my ego. We have to make sure this, inshallah. So, shall we move more a bit? Okay, let's go.
I had a question, Brother Ali.
Of course.
So when Hopo came, the Hopo said that they're worshiping the sun, right? Now, how would they understand in the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful? So wouldn't they have questions? What is he talking about? Solomon's letter? What is the message meaning? About who is God? What is all this?
Now, God, a compassionate and merciful. Of course, I am thinking like you are. So the letter says, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. It means the one who sent the letter has another concept of God, that this God is the merciful and compassionate. Of course, they will have their own concept of God as worshippers of the sun, but it doesn't mean that they know nothing about the concept of God. They must have this idea, but attributed this concept of God to the sun. So God must be the sun. Now, for example, in this age, what certain people describe nature in a way that they replace the concept of God with nature. If you ask them, do you believe in God? They will say, no, but I believe in nature. But replacing the nature with the concept of God. So everybody has this idea. That is why she is going to investigate and understand which kind of God Suleiman is calling them to. Now, in the following stage of the story, we will understand this. Which kind of God he is really calling us? Since we know that God is the Son, but he says, no, merciful and compassionate one. That is what the text really presents to us. So how would they understand the concept of God? The concept of God is really depending what you understand as to be the source of existence, as anything as to be the source of existence is God. That's why we have to understand that the God is the general concept. Even those people who believe God is the creator of the universe, they have their understanding, everyone has his or her understanding of God according to how they perceive this concept. For example, even some Muslims reading the Quran and concluding that according to their understanding, of course, we have to decide for ourselves whether it makes sense or not. God is the one who created the universe, but the universe is working by itself. This is a very common understanding among the Muslim people who deal with sciences. Under the influence of this materialistic interpretation of existence. Unfortunately, it doesn't make sense to me, but for them, this concept of God is the true concept of God for any reason. However they convince themselves, that's up to them. But I am not convinced. You have to think of the concept of God according to you, investigate it, question it, study on it. It is the most important matter to describe who my creator is, to be aware who my creator is. The most crucial question for human being. Not only one of the most crucial, no, the most crucial concept for me. Who my God is really. I say, I believe in God, who is the creator of the universe. Okay, many followers of the monotheistic religions claim the same. Whether they are right or wrong, I'm not here to just to pass judgment on them. I am here for myself to come to a conclusion and reach and to a satisfactory conclusion that God means this for me, and He is the one, which is in my understanding, who is the creator of the universe. Another person says, God is the one who created the universe and made our nation superior over others. Well, there are millions of people believing in it. Another person, another people, a group of people, great, maybe the greatest proportion of the world, are under the influence of the concept of God, who manifested himself in the world in the form of a man. They believe in the concept of God as well, depending, it means to say that or to claim that I believe in God does not necessarily mean that you have a complete concept of God established based on evidence in your mind, in your heart. That's why belief matters are to be taken seriously, the most seriously, so that we have to fulfill the purpose of our existence in this world. Thank you for your question. These questions clarify really for us, what we are really talking about. Otherwise, I don't really like lecturing. You sit there, listen, and I am telling something to you that I know, but you don't know. No, just really sharing my conclusions of my studies so that I will see how it makes sense to you or not. Okay, let's go further. We will see here. Look at it now. She said, "Oh, counselors, advise me in this matter of mine, for I never make any decision without your counsel." Look, this is important. The word counsel here, al-mala, in the Arabic word as well. قالت يا أيها الملأ. So, افتوني في أمري. So we will notice, just I'm giving a heads up for you, the Prophet Sulaiman also will ask and speak to his mala, the same word, counsel. It means in the Quranic teaching, asking and having a counseling or counselor is essential for human needs. We can call it the teacher, the master, and anyone who monitors our life, whatever, master. So we, and she must be a clever queen or the administrator. She says, I never make any decision without your counsel. It means making a consultation with you, counseling. So the Prophet Suleiman also will have the same concept and speak to his counsel, because he has a counsel as well. So we can say that in the tradition of Islam, or in the life of the Prophet Muhammad, we see that he has his companions. He has his companions. As a prophet, he receives the message from God, but at the same time, how to practice this message, how to present this message, he has his counsel, companions. He speaks to them, he delivers his speech, his message, and also listen to them. He listens to them and get their questions and try to communicate with them so that he will really pass the message to the people according to their needs. So he is not alone. For example, living alone and then thinking about the meaning of the message he got, and goes out and delivers a sermon to them and comes back to his own private life. No, the prophet is always with his companions, always out, unless he has his private life. For like you and me, you go to work, you do your shopping, you visit your friends, your family members, relatives, etc. In the evening, to come back into your room, sleep, wake up in the morning and have the breakfast with your family members, then also go out to work or to school, whatever you are doing. That is how human life is. The Prophet's life was the same. He went home, slept, wake up, and as soon as he woke up early morning, he went to the masjid and always communicated with his friends. So it is very fitri that we cannot have a completely seclusion in our life. We have to counsel each other. In this class as well, we have to counsel each other. You have to ask me, or I can ask you. You have to present your idea. Communication is the important. This is the, in the Arabic word, fitri, natural way of living as a human being in a society. Okay, so they said, verse 33, We are people of strength, you see. Quwwa. Quwwa. So, ulul ba's, oh man, and mighty in power, oh, we really give a big inflict on people, impose our power on them. This ulul ba's means really something harmful and something wrong and harmful, hurting others, base. For example, please protect yourself from the base of that person. Means that person, for example, in Arabic, it means really make sure that you are safe from his wrong actions or harmings. So, but the decision is yours. Okay, they are counseling. So see what you will command so that they are ready to fight. But of course, Solomon's problem is not the power struggle, of course. She said, again, she is also looking at the matter from her perspective. Yeah. Now, whenever kings go into a city or in a town, the qarya, it means a town, city, any place, dwelling place, actually, qarya. You can even say the village, but the practical Arabic says village, the meaning qarya is used as a village. So a small town as well, they ruin it and humiliate its leaders. That's what they do. Yeah, that's what they do. So we have to think about it seriously because they are still thinking that he's a powerful king, power hunger, and trying to influence his power over others, maybe take over their property under his own ownership, appropriate to them. That is what the beauty of this discussion here. We should not use religion for worldly power. We should not study the Quran or the message of the prophet prophets in general in order to gain power. Only those people who have one world view, this is this world, and human beings get satisfaction from this world, the more you have it, the better you are. That's why people have this idea nowadays. If you have more, financially more powerful, you are better off. There is an expression in English, but I couldn't remember it. If somebody remembers any expression in English really presenting this idea, might is right, is different, but if you have more, it doesn't harm you. There is an expression, I don't know, that is, well, if someone wrote something, I think. Money is power. Yeah, money is power. That's what they are asking. They are really seeking. But according to the teachings of the prophets, power comes from the strength of your message, how much it makes sense to you, how much it convinces you. Otherwise, material property never, ever satisfies anyone up to the last point. Everyone, every human being wants more and more and more. Have you noticed in the world nowadays, it's very obvious, the richest families, the very rich families are struggling even more in order to become richer and richer and richer. That's why if a company is bigger, you see that they are looking around. If there is a small company somehow growing, before they grow, they just buy it out and integrate these small companies into them. You see Google, you see, I don't know, Amazon, or buys everything. You see what I mean? The smaller ones, and wants to become more powerful, wider area that they want to dominate. But poor people, if they have 100, they want 150. So unfortunately, depending on what we are really looking for. Asim says monopolize. Yeah, monopolize. They want to really monopolize the world. It means the person materially, a human being, can be better off if he has an understanding that matter satisfies him. So what they do, as they get more, they even seek after more and more and more. There's no end. You cannot satisfy it. But the prophetic message calls people to God. The more you are aware of God, the better you are satisfied. So, of course, there is a struggle there too, but one of them is to seek more and more material power. The other one is the believers, or the prophetic message invites people to get more and more aware of who your master is, who your owner is. So money makes the world go round. Yes, thank you, Mim. Thank you. Yeah, money makes the world go around. Now, according to the prophetic teaching, really satisfactory answer to your human questions make your life prosperous. There is a completely contradictory directions between materialistic worldview and prophetic worldview. It means God's message. These are presented here. So the Quran is not really telling us a story. It says it is teaching us that if you have this understanding that matter satisfies, power is the source of satisfaction, money is the source of satisfaction, then inevitably you see that everybody is struggling for money. If you go and try to tell them something, they become suspicious. Let's see what will follow when this man is going to ask us money for money. That is why we, all of us, have to be very careful not to confuse money, material power with religious activities. God forbid. If you go and spread the message like the Prophet ﷺ did, he never gave the priority for money or getting booties from them. But if they didn't accept the message, insisted, as a result of the conflict during the war, according to the tradition of that time, if somebody is defeated, they have to pay and compensate the war expenses. And if they join, they have to contribute their share in order to have the administrative expenses and also the expenses of protection of the alliance of the believers against the people who may try to harm them or invade their country, maybe declare a war. These are only certain amount of payments, but the believers also pay zakat in order to contribute to the administration, take care of the needy, and also those people, even they don't believe in what the message of the prophet was, they have to contribute only, that's called jizya. So they have to contribute only their share for the or to the welfare of the society. So believers and unbelievers are equal in this term. Believers paid under the name of zakat because zakat has some sort of belief aspect in it, purifying the property as God gave us and giving back the rights of the needy ones. That is a concept, but amount will be the same. Over zakat and jizya amount almost the same. So jizya, because they don't believe in God, they don't believe in purification, they don't believe in the right of the poor and needy and despaired people in their property. They said, I worked for it and I gained it and this is my property. So accordingly, they have to pay jizya because they don't have the concept of zakat. But the proportion of the payment is almost the same. I mean, I don't know exactly, I didn't measure it, but that is how the practice is. They have to contribute to the needs of the society like the believers do contribute. So let's come to these beautiful verses now. We are the counselors, the generals. Of course, the queen has generals. Suleiman's counselors are intellectual people. We will see them. So we are people of strength and mighty in power, but the decision is yours. It's speaking to the queen. So see what you will command. She said, whenever kings go into a city, they ruin it and humiliate its leader. That's what they do. So let's be cautious, it means. Let's be cautious. See which kind of people or the person this person is, and then who's sending this message and asking us for submission. According to them, submitting themselves to his power, Suleiman's power. According to Suleiman, submitting themselves to the authority of God, depending on where you stand. Inshallah, we will understand this. Okay. Now, let's go. If you have any more concerns, questions, please tell me. So now the queen is speaking. I will send them a present and see what the envoys bring back. It means what kind of news they will come with now. Now, the queen thinks in her own terms, and she sends the Solomon present. We will see that the present is, well, I mean, it is not a simple present, of course, but we will see that in the following verses. Solomon said, no, we are not after the property. What are you doing, poor lady there? We are after submission to God. At the end, also, the queen will realize that Solomon is not after power. Solomon is after submission to God. We will see at the very end of the story in the Quran. So when her envoy came to Solomon, Solomon said, "What? Are you offering me wealth? It means you didn't understand me at all. Look, what God has given me is better than what He has given you. Yeah. Instead, you rejoice in your gift. Oh, you go and enjoy your money, your property, your power. Why? We are not after it. We have something else that you don't understand." He sends it back. What does it mean? Now, while we are conveying the message, we have to be extremely careful not to get sadaqah. The prophets don't get sadaqah, you know that. Huh? Only a gift, maybe. Friendly gift, not under the name of gift, get a big wealth or big amount of wealth. No. When a friend, for example, you are going to somebody's house, taking, let's say, 2 or 3 kinds of fruit in your hand, as a kindness, that is okay. And the prophets accepted it. But sadaqah, charity, no. That is an interesting concept that is fading away in Muslim community under many names of excuses, named something. It's a very important matter. Everything has turned into a meta problem. The people are suffering materially. People are suffering hunger and shelter. You're right, correct. They maybe suffer. You may help them. But what is even more important, to help them to satisfy their spiritual need. Whenever there is a disaster or something in a Muslim community, everybody is active. Good. I'm not saying bad. But when there is no material, physical disaster or lack of wealth, lack of material means, do we go them and teach them prophetic message, call them to submit themselves to God by introducing God to them? No, we think that they are okay. We only hear the voice of material needs of people. We don't hear the voice of spiritual needs of the people, which is material need is related to body, which is temporary anyways. Spiritual need is related to the spirit, the soul, which is eternal. We ignore the eternal needs, but emphasize on the material needs. Of course, we have to take care of it according to their values. Material means the comfort in this world for a couple of years or so. Spiritual needs are eternal needs. We don't hear the scream and cry of the spirit who is lacking satisfaction in belief. Unfortunately, I'm not saying we should totally ignore it, ignore the material needs. No. When it comes, we have to pay attention to the material needs. But when there is no scream of needs. For example, in the world now, there are Muslims and non-Muslims. So material need, spiritual needs cannot be limited to Muslims. Spiritual need is the spiritual need of every human being, not necessarily Muslims, especially non-Muslims. There are billions of non-Muslims who don't know anything about God's message. We don't hear their screaming. But if there is a handful of people somewhere who were struck by a disaster, Allah creates something and puts them in need, and they start screaming about their material need, we hear it. What before this calamity happened to them, it struck them, we didn't hear their spiritual needs. There is something unbalanced going on in the world, especially I'm not expecting other people to become aware of it, but I am expecting at least the people from the people who are aware of this message that we are studying. Solomon rejects the present of a very rich queen. That time, the historians say that Sheba was the richest country. That time. Can you imagine the present, but a gift of the queen of the richest country? How can you reject it? Suleiman says, take it away. God has given me much better than what he has given you. Come on, get set. Instead, you rejoice in your gift, not me. Because don't confuse the material benefit with the message of God. Make it distinct. Oh, we need a serious education in this matter. How we should not confuse the material need with the spiritual need. That's a big problem for me. We have to deal with it, and we have to be conscious of it, seriously think about it. Seriously think about it. My family members, my neighbors are screaming spiritually that they have no guidance at all. They have no idea what they are doing in this world. Just living like animals, like not like human beings. It doesn't hurt us. But at the same time, when we hear that there is somebody needy physically, materially, we are alarmed. Please don't misunderstand me that we should ignore them. But we should pay attention where material need arises, and we should extend our help to them while the material need is there. We have to help them, correct. But while there is no material problem, financial problem, did we pay attention to their spiritual needs? That is my question. There is a big confusion among us. That is a real the problem that we have to deal, we have to reflect on it. Okay. Excuse me. Verse 37. Return, Solomon is speaking now. Return with certainty that we will come to them with such forces that they will never be able to match. Look, now these kind of problems arise when you read the Quran literally. The Solomon seems to be challenging the material. Look, if it was a material problem. And if he says that such forces that they will never be able to match, it means we are much more powerful than they are in terms of matter. Why didn't he get the gifts and said that, okay, go and take the opportunity? No, he send it back. We will expel them from there as they are disgraced and they will feel humiliated. It means really we will, because the Quran says, وَلَنُخْرِجَنَّهُمْ مِنْهَا أَذِلَّةً وَهُمْ صَاغِرُونَ. Minha means what? From there, from them, from where they are. But according to them, the land, according to Suleiman's message, from their state of understanding of the reality of this creation, their understanding of life, their understanding of the purpose of living in this world will be completely uprooted when we come there with our powerful message, represented by my army of the animals, army of the jinn, Satan, and all kinds of people. It means they are my messages. They are the signs of my message. Every part of the creation supports me, my idea. Asim says, forces, evidence. Yeah, one of them sees material force, the other one aims at, sorry, and the power of the evidence for his message as a prophet. So let's go. Let me go. Okay. Oh, sorry. The time's up. It has been 1 hour. I can't believe it. Okay, anyway. Now the verse continues. He said, O council, look again, Kale ya eyyuhel mala. As the queen said, ya eyyuhel mala, the same thing. It means the material council, material oriented people have their own council in order to gain power, and the prophetic message also has its own council in order to implement the message, convey the message to other people. So that is, we can study this next Wednesday, inshallah. O council, which of you will bring me her throne before they come into me in submission? Ya'tuni Muslimin. Muslimin is very important word in the Quran. I think this verse and the following verse needs a special care, because we have to understand how or the what bringing the throne of the queen to me before they come to me in submission. Bring it which kind of throne they have. It means it is very easy to take it under my control. We will study that. It means my control means, I mean, like I can give you heads up. Like, what do they say? This is God. Come on, bring it to me. This is the source of power. Come on, bring it to me. I will show it la ilaha. Simply. Definitely. And they will definitely come to the submission, come and submit themselves to illallah. That is the prophetic mission. That's a heads up. Think about it and follow the following the arguments. One of them will say, I will bring it in, let's say 1 hour or 2. It means I will demonstrate the falsehood of La ilaha in 1 hour. The prophet's prophetic message says, I will bring it immediately. It means demonstrate the falsehood of La ilaha in a second. It's so easy to destroy it. It has no root at all. We will go into it. Just it's a heads up for the next week. These are, I am amazed with the stories of the prophets in the Quran. So delicately deal with the message. I mean, we are not studying the grammatic side of the Quran and going into the very fine details. We are just taking it generally. How are we going to benefit from these stories in our life? Very generally, which is more practical. Most of the people study the technicality of the language and get lost in the technicality, forget about the practical side. I mean, we just say, okay, this is dealt with among the Muslim scholarship, the technicality of the language and the details of the language to a great extent. But how am I going to practice it in my life? How am I going to apply it is pretty much neglected. So inshallah, we will concentrate on the neglected part more, which is more practical for us and we need nowadays. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Please study these verses and get ready and present your understanding as well. I am sure you know now which kind of approach we should have in order to understand the prophetic stories in the Quran. Because the Quran says also, we narrate all these stories to you in order to get great lesson from them, to benefit from them for those people who have reasoning, intellectual concerns, so that we will be satisfied intellectually, so our heart also will follow it after being satisfied intellectually. If someone is not satisfied intellectually, his heart cannot, never, ever be satisfied at all. So, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين بحرمة سر سورة الفاتحة.